Hello, my name is Martin Sykes. I've been a chief architect in one form or another for the last 20 years in organisations around the world, and in that time helped them work on their business strategies and understanding how technology can support those strategies. In tools like iServer, we would record the business drivers and the goals and link those through to capabilities, applications and technology roadmaps, and be able to show how the IT estate can support that business strategy. Typically, taking that information into a workshop where we may have the CIO, CEO or other senior business leads to be able to illustrate for them what sort of things we can do for the organisation and to be able to take the business direction and show what changes we may need to make to that IT estate. Today, with the new strategic portfolio management solution, we're also able to drill in live and dynamically into that data set with those senior leaders and have a great conversation in the workshop. This first image that we're looking at comes from the strategic portfolio management dashboards. And on here we have the goals and the business concepts for the organisation. So let's be really clear. Nobody from the business team is really going to want the IT organisation to replay to them, these are your business goals and your concepts. But we are recording them in iServer because we use them to link all the information together. This is the core information we've captured from the organisation as an IT department to be able to really understand how the business strategy fits all the way through into the organisation's IT systems, applications and infrastructure. And we can also then be able to recommend back changes in that IT environment to better fit the business strategy for the future. As we move to a second dashboard here, we're looking at more information that iServer holds to understand the goals and objectives for the organisation in more detail, and also goals that have no objectives associated with them. The analysis we'll have done from architects and business analysts of the business's strategy will have started to identify where we can't see that clarity going from the highest level goals through to the impact in the IT estate. That may be totally fine. It may not, but the key thing we can do now is use the dashboards to bring those up and drill into them to understand them more. Because the situation we're going to go into with the business leaders may be a one-on-one conversation or a workshop where the key first element is to increase our understanding of what the organisation wants to do and drill from that into really understanding the business concepts and capabilities that are going to have to change. In preparation for the workshop or the one-on-one meetings, we want to take the information from iServer that looks at the whole estate, that gives us that top level view of what the organisation is trying to achieve. And here you see an image of just such a diagram that we could have, that has within it the ideas of the business goals and objectives linked to the capabilities that the organisation is going to want to change for those, and some idea of where those capabilities are today with various parameters. Now, some on here have already been coloured in, but using iServer we can heat map according to whatever factors are going to be important for the sort of conversation we're having. Whether the strategic direction is one about growth, developing new capabilities, changing the organisation for the future, or even a merger and acquisition scenario. Many different types of data can all be overlaid on the same image, but it's very important to also filter it back in this first high-level view to focus on the things that are extremely important to the organisation. This one page can often be a poster in a workshop or a handout to set the context, and from here we're then going to drill in. As we prepare for the workshop with the senior business leaders, we now have a view that focuses on what strategically they want to change for their business plans, but we want to make sure we also have a view on the capability model for the whole organisation. Some of the capabilities on here are going to be ones that we will focus on. Others are ones that we need to understand within the context of that bigger picture that may not be changing, or the ones that may already have been planned to have change, or that may be ones that for the organisation as a whole, we're just not that interested in. This is important context to be able to look for the planning purposes to then prioritise the activities we want in the IT department to be able to support the business strategy effectively. So now as we move into the workshop, we have all of the materials created to give us the high level view from the goals and the drivers of the organization through to the capabilities. And our participants, the business leaders, the CIO, the architects, all have that printed out in front of them or stuck on the walls of the room. But a good workshop is going to require us to drill into information about capabilities and our applications. For that, let's move to one of the dashboards from SPM. Within this solution, you can drill in from a high-level view or search and filter by the capabilities you want to look at. And that's exactly what we've got here, where we've created a scatter chart where we're being able to filter according to categories that are important to the point of conversation in the workshop, to understand how those capabilities fit together against different levels of strategic fit. And do note, any of the dimensions on the scatter chart can be adapted to what is actually important in the organization. And then with that, we can look at the gaps we have between where those capabilities are today and where we want them to be for the future, in terms potentially of their overall maturity, if you've used a capability maturity model, or it could simply be the degree of business fit or technology fit that we're looking for. As we drill in with the dashboard, we may look at many different capabilities. But prior to the workshop, with iServer, we're able to prepare information on those capabilities that are actually really important to change. And for that, we can look at the sorts of processes, applications, and roles for those capabilities. We can make all sorts of measurements of those capabilities. We can look at the current state and the future state and put all of that together into one sheet straight out of iServer and be able to use that in the workshop. So as we drill down, we know exactly what we've got for those capabilities. As we continue through the workshop, it's only natural that the business owners of key applications will want to talk about those applications. That conversation is driven, first of all, from the business capability model. So we've focused on the applications that support the core business capabilities that are in the strategic plan. But we go back now to the SPM dashboards and we can look at the application value analysis dashboard in particular for each one of those applications that the business really want to focus on. And here you can see we have the applications identified on a scatter plot where we've taken measures from the organization to understand the criticality and the strategic importance for those applications. There are no absolute values for these, no rigid measurements. Usually it's taken in some form of a survey and the data is entered and captured into iServer prior to the workshop, but it can be updated live as well as we start to give this sort of a view to the business leaders. But now we're able to understand the relative importance of different applications to support their capabilities. We can look at the scores that have come out from them and to understand what needs to go into a conversation about where are we going to take those applications for the future. This is just one example of a dashboard to really understand the value. There are many others that you can use to be able to look at these key applications. But the important step we're getting to now is at the point where each application can be roadmapped to understand how it fits to the changes in the business capabilities for the organization. So by the end of the workshop, there's been a lot of talk and information captured about our business capabilities and applications that are going to change. That information now needs to be structured in iServer and then produced into a format that can be shared across the organization for the future. What you're looking at now is a diagram created from iServer that has the capabilities, the goals that are being achieved by the changes in those capabilities, and the timeline for the roadmap of change for the applications that are delivering that to the organization. This is just one example of the sort of outcomes that you might be able to get when you use iServer and SPM in a workshop with the business leaders. I've talked about this as a process done in a workshop. In many organizations, it would be just as valid, if not more so, to do it in a one-on-one type situation and slowly bring the information together to be presented afterwards in some sort of wrap-up approach. No matter which way you do it, the use of SPM really changes the value proposition you get out of the architectural information held in iServer. For decades now, I've been limited, as have many of the folks I've worked with, in the way in which we can use architectural information by having to prepare it up front to walk into any session or one-on-one situation. Today, we can drill in live, explore it, and be able to answer questions as they come up. That was a game changer for me when I saw it. I can show you on video here, but it's nothing like what you actually experience when you try it for the first time and you realize the power of the dashboards to be able to interact effectively with the information held in iServer. And for that key reason alone, I suggest you contact Orbis and have an iServer demonstration done specifically for you.